Okay, so we are continuing with the CSV thing, right? So you know CSV is a comma separated values, and because of this rainbow CSV, I can see the color coding. You can always click the align button so that you can get a better view of understanding that this is the first column, this is the second column, and this is the third column. Right? So I'm doing it shrink now, and it appears to be a normal CSV file. So first we will see yesterday what we saw. We did the import CSV, right? And after importing CSV, what we are doing is we are reading the whole file. And as you know, when you do the CSV reader module, the CSV reader module actually reads the whole file line by line into a list. And then into each individual list, we are printing the row. Fine. So let me run the code. So you can see this CSV reader. Basically, this is the print of this particular thing. So whenever you are using the CSV reader module, this basically returns the reader object. As you can see, this is a CSV reader object at some memory location. This will be different on your machines and when you execute on online compilers. Right? And then for each row, right? For each row, basically it reads as a list, and then you can see the list is basically displayed completely. Just to clarify that this was a list, I can just do type of row. Right, type row basically will give me what is the type of each row. So you can see this is a class list, class list, class list. Fine. So now this is done. Right, now there is another method by which you can use the CSV module and read the file contents. Right, so let me show you how it is. Right, so let me just comment out this part and let me uncomment this part. Right. So what happens here when I run the code, now you can see the same code is here, right? Let me just uncomment this. So you can see when I compare the code with openpeople.csv, same as file, exactly same. Reader is equal to CSV, right? So this is basically dictionary reader, right? You already know what is a dictionary in Python. So they have shortened it into dict reader, right? Dictionary reader. File is again the same. I am again printing the same code. As you can see for row in reader, you can see the same line is highlighted indicating that it is an identical line. And now let me just type here row, type here this. Fine. So now you can see instead of row, I am writing it a dictionary row, right? Now every row will be read in the form of a dictionary. So don't get confused. We will just see the output here, right? For this, we already know it's a list, right? So as you can see, instead of CSV reader, we are using CSV.dictionary reader, right? And then instead of, just a minute. Yeah, and instead of displaying just the row, I am displaying the dictionary row. Let me run again the code, right? Now let's see what is the output here, right? So you can see now this is the dictionary object, right? If you want, I can just show you the line by line comparison. Let me uncomment this part of code and run the code again. So initially you can see it's a CSV reader object, and now it's a CSV dictionary reader object, right? It's a dictionary reader object. Now you know that in the exercise which we did for dictionary, dictionary is nothing but a key value pair, right? So you have something like, you will have something a state and capital, right? How would a dictionary be? So let's say we write Maharashtra, it will be Mumbai. And since it's a string, we enclose it into quotes. Similarly, we have Bihar colon Patna, right? So this is how the dictionary basically actually behaves. Now let us see how it actually happens. What is the advantage that you get when you use the dictionary reader, right? As you can see, when I'm printing the dictionary row, the entire row again is read, and it is read as a dictionary. And if you can see the type itself, you know, because you are writing dict here, so you can see the class here is dictionary. And how do you know it's a dictionary? You can see the curly braces are being used. The curly braces are being used, that shows it's a dictionary. And then you have a key value pair, right? Name Sachin, country India, profession cricketer. Right, now how does that happen? See what happened when you read the people.csv. Right, now let me just go back to the drawing board. So we have the name, country and profession. This is our header, and let me change the pen color to blue. So what is our first? Sachin, India cricketer. Let me just go there and write. Right, and let me AR Rahman, India musician. Let me have this in a different color. Right. Now, what advantage actually the dictionary reader assigns you, right? So you can see in the dictionary reader, what happens here. Let me have a different color now. See, this is your header row, right? This is your header row. So now if you see for the first row, the name is Sachin, the country is India, and the profession is cricketer. Similarly, for the second row, the name is AR Rahman, the country is India, and the profession is musician. So you can see this header basically internally applies to everything, just like we read normal Excel files, right? You have a header and then you have a, for example, roll number and student name. You have all 1901's ME01 and all those, fine. And then after that, you basically have the name of the student, right? Ramesh, Sita, Geeta, etc. So you know that this header basically is applicable to every row, right? This is applicable to every row. So dictionary reader basically brings us this information. For example, if you can see, so what does dictionary reader do? When it passes through dictionary reader, so this is what it happens. So let me change the pen color to black. So I will keep the key as the header, name, country, profession. And along that, what will I do? I will use another pen color to keep the values. Sachin, India, cricketer. Fine. Similarly, what happens when you write the next row? Again, you will have the header as your keys. Name. I am not enclosing the quotes. I think it's already understood. Profession. And let me change the pen color here. This is AR Rahman, India, and musician. So now you can see this is a dictionary, key value, key value, key value. Fine. So this is how the dictionary is actually being read. You can see the name AR Rahman and you can see the single quotes just to indicate it's a string, right? Country, India, profession, musician. Now you may ask, why do we actually use dictionary reader when you can actually have the lists here, right? The advantage of dictionary reader is that you actually come to know what is the like type of the thing that we are referring to. Type in the sense, for example, Albert Einstein is a name. Germany is a country in the CSV file. Physicist is a profession in that file. Because if you have a very huge CSV file, let's say like 1 million lines and 15 columns, then you will have just 15 values one after the other. You do not know how would you insert at what particular location. Fine. So in that, dictionary reader actually helps you because see, it is giving you the header of like this. Physicist belongs to the header profession. Scientist again belongs to the header profession. So when you actually write to the file, you will actually realize the importance of the dictionary reader. Right. So this was just a brief introduction. Again, I will say you it's a very simple thing. In the normal case, you use the CSV reader, and now you are using the CSV dictionary reader, right? DICT, the shorthand for dictionary. When you display the row, you just write DICT row. Okay, let me just try what happens if you write the row here, right? Okay, So it is basically coming as an ordered dictionary, right? It is, you can see, if I just write the row here and execute the code, you can see it comes as an ordered dictionary here. And you can see this is a list, and within each list there is a tuple, but that tuple basically it's nothing but a dictionary kind of thing, right? Key value, key value, right? And hence basically what we do, we directly say dictionary and row, right? So that you can directly get it into a form of a dictionary object. You see the curly braces and name and Sachin. Fine. So I hope this program is clear to you. Now let us come to the another program. How do we write row? Right? Now you can see yesterday we saw a program how to write rows in the same fashion. We use with open, we give the file name that we want to write. We use the write mode, and we already explained what is new line equal to blank, so that no blank lines are inserted in between. Right? And then for the writer, we are using the writer module, right? CSV is the module and writer is the function, right? How is it a function? You have the round braces here, right? Round parenthesis means it's a round brace, means it's a function. And see, we are writing the rows in the form of a list. See, this is a list here, name, country, profession. This is the header. And then we again have this list here. Then we again have this list here, right? So this was the method without using the dictionary writer object, right? So yesterday we saw the normal reading and writing. Today we will see how do we write in the form of a dictionary. Let us first see the output here, right? So we will have 3 lines in the output file, people write.csv, right? The program is executed. Let us come to the people write.csv. So you can see the 3 lines are written: name, country, profession, Dravid, India cricketer, Abraham Lincoln, USA president. And now we will see how do we write using a dictionary object, right? So now if you compare the code, the first line is exactly the same. With open people.csv, I have written here players.csv, right? The write mode, new line is equal to blank, new line equal to blank as file, fine. Now you can see the next line, CSV is same. Instead of writer, I am using dictionary writer, right? And instead of file, I am actually specifying the parameter as field names is equal to field names. Now I will tell you what are field names. See, I am specifying the field names as name and country. You can think this as a header, right? Like if I come this, so basically in this case, this is the field names, right? This is the field name. Why? Because it's a common header, so we call it as a field name, right? So now you can see in this particular case I'm writing player.csv and I'm having only field names as name and country. So I'm having only 2 columns here because I'm having only two things here, fine. So in this CSV dictionary writer, I am saying field names is equal to field names, right? So basically the variable name has been kept same. If I make this as X, or I make this as, like, say, header, this will be like this, right? This is my header, and I'm saying that dictionary writer field names is equal to header. I will tell you what is the use of this, right? So initially I am writing the right header. So what will come when you write the right header? Basically only this line will be written to the file. Let me run the code and see. Yeah, it's running. And now when you do a write row, see, the write row function remains the same. Here also it's write row, here also it's write row. The write row function remains the same, but now instead of list, right, because you are using a dictionary, right, you are using a dict writer, right, it's a dictionary writer, you need to basically specify the key value pairs. Now how do you know what is the key? The key basically comes from this thing, name and country. So now you can see the name is the key here. The name is Sachin here. Country is India because the second value of the header or the field name was country. Again, I'm writing a row with the name Roger Federer and the country is Switzerland. Fine. If I want to let me just run the code so that you can get a feel of it. So when I run the code, let us check the players.csv. In the bottom, you can see you have the players.csv. You can see the name and country. This were the header or the field names. And then when we wrote name colon Sachin, only Sachin is written to the file. Similarly, India is returned to the file. Now, how do I write a row? Right? I just do copy this line, right? Let's say we can write another name here, right? So Mirabai Chanu, let us write, the silver medalist in the Olympics, right? Now, what do you need to remember here is that, see, once you specify this name and country as the field names, now you cannot change these things, right? So first, let me just complete this code here. So we can see here people.players.csv. You can see Mirabai Chanu has come here, fine. Now let us try to disturb one key here. So let's say I write this name 1 and let us see what happens. See, now it is saying an error in the code, right? So it says value error. Dictionary contains fields not in field names. See, it is saying not in field names. So when you are saying field names here, the field names was equal to header. And what was your header? Header was name and country. Header was name and country. And now it is trying to match this name 1 with Mirabai Chanu, and it does not find any name 1, right? So that is the importance of field names. So whatever field names you are giving, that field names have to be repeated in every row, right? Have to be repeated in every row, right? Let us just run the code once again. The code runs well, and in the players.csv you have all the things here, fine. So this is how basically you use the CSV reader and CSV writer thing, fine. So class, let's have a break for 5 minutes and we will return at 12:27, right? Doubts are welcome. Hardik, I think you asked a doubt saying, let me just see, we can leave empty but can't skip. Yeah. So headers is mandatory, right? But I think you can do this. For example, let's say here you do not specify the country here, right? So for Mirabai Chanu, I mean, Hardik has asked a very good doubt saying that, let me just use his words only. Does all values of the header should be present in the dictionary to be written? Okay, does all values of the header need to be present? Uh, okay, let me just check, Hardik. Okay, let me first make the country blank and then we will actually remove this thing, right? Let us see what happens. That's an excellent doubt actually. See, programming is something you cannot have answers to everything, right? You try and you test it out, but excellent question nevertheless. Okay, so I am writing country as blank, so there was no error. So in the players.csv, you can see the Mirabai Chanu has appeared as a blank country. Now let us see, we have two headers here, name and country. So if I remove this country, right, I think Hardik, you have this doubt only, right? If I remove this country, does all the values of the header should be present in the dictionary that is to be written? Okay, now let us see what happens actually. Run the code. Okay, so it has ran the code and players. Yeah. So Hardik, I think it still works, right? So it is not that all the headers need to be present, right? You can see here header is name and country, and we only wrote name for Mirabai Chanu, and it still actually worked, right? So I think it's a good addition. So Hardik, excellent out once again. So let us do one thing. Let us write a country here and just write India, right? So this will also clear our doubt that even ordering does not matter, right? Out of these two headers, I am actually using only country. So let us try this and see what error does it give. So it does not pop up any error. And let us see players.csv and see how intelligent Python is, right? It recognized that name, although was skipped, can be included here. So you can see it automatically gave a comma and put India in the second column. So that's actually excellent from Python. So that's really, really good actually, right? So you can see, so later on you can actually insert, for example, what we can do, right? So I can just copy the name here. I can write Mirabai Chanu. right? So you can see I have reversed the order, name and country. I'm writing here country and name, and let us see the players.csv. See, it appears perfectly. So basically, this is the advantage of dictionary reading and writing. See, in dictionary, what happens? You have the name and country. So the dictionary writer knows that irrespective of the order, whether you write name country or country name, or whether you write only country or only name, I have to basically make sure that this ordering is followed, right? And let us try one more thing. We just keep the name and we just keep the country, right? And let us say name is APJ Abdul Kalam sir, and the country is India, right? And now let us run the code. So you can see player.csv. Since name was specified, you have a comma here and there is no country. Here there was no name, but there was only a country. So see how nicely the CSV dictionary writer has written the file. So this is the advantage here. Now, why is the advantage here? Because now you imagine that you have a big CSV file, right? You have a very big CSV file saying, let's say, name, age, height, weight, like gender, and roll number. Let's say you have such a huge file, right? Let me have a darker shade for it, right? So we have name, age, height, weight, gender, and roll number, right? So many things. Now, if you are using normal CSV.writer, right, then you have to specify a list here, right? And in the list you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we have, let's say, X, Y, Z, A, B, C. You have 6 things to write. Now, let's say if you have only weight to write, right? If you have only weight to write, what you will do? You will leave all other fields blank. Let's say weight is 54 and you will leave all other fields blank. So just see, from a programming point of view, it is such a cumbersome task, right? It is such a cumbersome type. But when you use dictionary writer, right, you can just say, right, in the dictionary writer, you can just use basically weight colon 54, something of this sort, right? So you need not even bother how many columns I have, what are the attributes of those. You don't bother. You only have the weight right now. You just write the weight right now, right? So this is the advantage of dictionary writer that actually you get, right? So I hope that makes it clear. And again, Hardik, a nice point actually. I didn't observe this, so but a very good point, right? Now let us see what is the difference between a CSV reader and a dictionary reader, which we have already seen, right? We are opening the file people.open, right? So people.csv is, sorry, it was people.csv. As we know, we have 3 columns here, people.csv. And you can see here, let us run the code. Okay. So, okay, os.system clear is there, people.csv is there, and what I do, I just read the normal with F, right? I just use the old method. You can directly use with open people.csv in read mode as F, and then you are using the normal CSV reader, right? And as you know, this will be reading it into a list, right? This will be a list object. Since it is reading it into a list, we can actually refer the list element by indexes. So you can see Sachin, India cricketer, AR Rahman, India musician, and all those things. Now versus dictionary reader. Now again, I'm using the same dictionary reader, but instead of CSV reader, I am using CSV.dictionary reader, right? And now you can see, if you want to index, right? In the previous case, as you saw, what we were doing, when we were reading, we were just directly displaying dictionary of row, right? Now, if you want to kind of index it, right? What do I mean by indexing? See, this was a list. So you were indexing the first element of the list, second element of the list, third element of the list. Just keep this line in mind. And if you are using a dictionary reader, how do you do it? You actually use row. And what is the header of the file? You can see this people.csv. What is the header of the file? Name, country, profession. Remember, the header is case sensitive, right? So the name, the country, and the profession. Basically, both returns in the same output, as you can see. See, this is the dictionary reader. You can see Sachin India cricketer, and you can see Sachin India cricketer, right? So this is also the advantage of using dictionary writer. See, row of name gives me a very logical understanding that okay, some name is being displayed. Row of country gives me a logical understanding that okay, this will be the name of a country. But you can see when you do a normal reader, row of 0, row of 1 does not tell me anything unless I see the output, right? Row of 2, and there are high chances, that the indexing may get wrong, or I have to actually go to the file and then count what is the index. Also, the counting is from 0, which is not very natural for normal people. They start with 1. So this is how dictionary reader actually comes into the picture, right? So you just index it using the key values: row name, row country, and row profession. Right? Okay, guys. So that was about dictionary reading and dictionary writing. Fine. So now basically we will look into how do you read Excel, right? How do you read Excel? So there is a Python library which is basically known as OpenPyXL. Now basically open means it's an open source. Py stands for it's a Python module, and Excel basically because it can read the Excel files. Fine. So basically now what happens here, I will just tell you some terminologies here that we are actually going to see, right? So let me just keep it CS384, and there are some numbers here. So let me first show you an Excel file and how does it actually look like, right? So basically an Excel file is known as a workbook. How do you know that? So when you save as the file, you can see basically the saving says you Excel workbook, right? Excel workbook. Word is a document, PowerPoint is a presentation, and Excel is a workbook, right? And you can see every Excel file has rows and columns. And how do you index them? For example, when I keep my mouse here and I write CS384, I am basically writing into the cell A1. I am basically writing into the cell A1. How do you know? This is the column and this is the row, right? So for example, if I'm in this cell, it says F6. That means I am in column F and row 6. Fine. This is how you index everything, right? So if I'm in here, so you can see it is column E and row 11, right? There is a slight shade E and 11. You can see this is E11, right? And then you can see this is the sheet, right? So you can have multiple sheets: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and sheet 4, right? You can have multiple sheets in Excel. Fine. This is done. So this is how an Excel sheet. So basically an Excel sheet as a overall is known as a workbook. A workbook can contain multiple sheets. As you can see here, a workbook can contain multiple sheets. And this is the location that we specify here. We have the columns with alphabets and we have the rows with the numbers. So first you refer to the column and then to the row, CR, right? So I am just closing this, right? So now what happens? Let me again open the Excel. How does Python interpret it, right? So from OpenPyXL, I'm importing workbook. Workbook means now I can open a workbook like this, right? I'm importing time. I will tell you why I'm importing this. So now I'm creating a workbook object, right? Creating a workbook object is similar to what you do in this particular case, right? When you're saying open this file and you are using the file handle F, right? You are using the file handle F. Similarly, I am using the file handle WB, which indicates a workbook, right? And then sheet is equal to WB active. Sheet is nothing but this, like the name of this sheet is sheet 1. I can actually change this to, let's say, rainbow, right? So when I open a workbook, what happens by default in Python? There are no sheets, right? So we open a sheet in this particular line. Sheet is equal to WB.active, right? And now see what happens here. Sheet A1, right? Sheet is the name of my sheet, right? So let me actually rename this symbol to sheet 1, right? So you will have a nice feeling here. Let me just rename here again and make it sheet 1. So now you can see this was sheet 1. right? This is sheet 1, and now it is saying sheet 1 and the cell A1. See, it is using a list as a subscript, and it is specifying the index. What is A1? And I'm saying the value 81. It means you open a workbook and you can see this is A1. So A1 will have the value 87. Now what is this A2? A2, the value is CS384, right? Then what we have, A3 has the value 41.80. So this is A3, as you can see. And similarly, A4 has the value 10. Fine, you can see it's A4. And now it is basically when we are doing import time, right? The time module has a function str. Basically, it is string formatted into time, strf time, right? String format and time. So I'm just getting the time right now. This basically gives me the date, and in the sheet A5 I am just inserting today's date. Basically, that's it. And finally, what I'm doing, I'm doing wb workbook save, and what I'm saving with the name sample file xls. See, in A5 I inserted now, and now was nothing but the current date, right? So what is the current date? Today is 7/9, oh sorry, 7/9/2021. Fine. So this is the file that will be created. I just made a file for you, but basically this program will save sample underscore file dot xls. Right? So let me just run the code. So you can see the code has run, there was no error, and now let us open the sample file. So you can see the sample file here. So you can see all the values have come: 87, 384, 41.8, 10, and 9, 7, 21. Now basically my system settings are such that it appears as DD, and YY, right? Right? That is what the format basically %x specifies. You can have numerous formats you can see online, so that you can arrange the date as per your requirements, right? You can arrange the date as per your requirement. So as you can see, it is such an easy thing to write in Excel. So now let us close this file, right? And now let's say you want to write in, this is what the cell E5, right? E5 is the cell you want to write. Let me close everything. So let me write the cell as E5. In E5, let us write Python Excel, right? And now let me run the code. So you can see this is E5 here, and when I open this file, sample file.exe, you can see I am able to write it into the E5 object. I am able to write it into the E5 object. Fine. So quite easy and very intuitive also, right? Quite an intuitive code, right? You open a workbook, right? You make a sheet which is active, and then you keep on adding the sheets, right? Of course, there are numerous commands here. OpenPyXL is a very extensive library, right? You can have the entire course covered with OpenPyXL, right? It is such a powerful library, right? Let us see the next code now. Right, in this we will see how do you read the file, right? How do you read the file? Now, for example, in this particular case, again from OpenPyXL, I am importing load workbook, right? As you can see, load workbook is a function, and you can see the file because VS Code gives you, right? Open the given file name and return the workbook, right? So I'm reading the same file, sample file.xls, and you can see in the previous case, right? If I open the file, the cell A1 has 87. Now let us write a new number here, right? Let us write a new number. So in A1, let us keep something like twinkle twinkle little star. Right? Let us keep, let us revise our rhymes here. So in sheet A1, I am, instead of now 87, overwriting with this value, right? And you can see this is another way of writing. You can directly refer to a cell. You can say sheet dot cell. I have to write into the second column, sorry, in the second row and second column, and the value that I need to write is 5. Right? Let us write a nice value, 999. So in the second row, second column, this value will be returned. And then finally, I am saving the file. You can see there is a R here, right? R means basically it's a raw mode. Raw mode basically is used, for example, if you're specifying the file path like this, c:/sample.xls. So when you write the raw mode, that means treat everything as a string, right? Because let's say your file name is /n_sample, right? So if you don't use the raw mode, Python will treat this /n as a new line. So to avoid all those things, we are using the raw mode, right? Right now I'm just cancelling it out. So now you will see 81 being replaced by twinkle twinkle little star. And then we are writing in the row second, column second, the value 999. Let me run the code. See, no errors here. Let me open the file. See, twinkle twinkle little star was replaced. I mean 87 was replaced using twinkle twinkle little star. And in the next thing, row 2, column 2 basically became 999, right? So you can see how you can easily manipulate using even row and column numbers. That is the beauty of the OpenPyXL module, right? So guys, let us have a break for 4 minutes. We return at 12:50 now. Guys, I think we have two new concepts today. So I think we can close the lecture for today, right? Because OpenPyXL is a bit complex module. So I wish that you please practice the dictionary reading, writing and the OpenPyXL libraries. Fine. So you can just run this sample code. I hope it is synced to your Dropbox, right? So I think we can close for today's lecture, right? And we will meet next week. So next week we will have a quiz, right? Next week, Monday, we will have a quiz, Monday or Tuesday. I will give you the exact timings. Fine. And we will cover, it will be only MCQs based on Google Forms, right? But there will be negative marking, of course. Fine. Other things I will just write on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So class, we are closing for today. Any doubts are welcome. Others who don't have doubt can quit the session. And thanks for attending.